Ο Άκραμ Καν, ο σπουδαίος Βρετανός χορογράφος με καταγωγή από το Μπαγκλαντές, είναι τακτικός επισκέπτης της Ελλάδας. Αυτή τη φορά επιστρέφει με την ομάδα του στο Μέγαρο Μουσικής για να παρουσιάσουν τη δική τους εκδοχή πάνω στο βιβλίο της ζούγκλας, το διάσημο μυθιστόρημα του Rudyard Kipling. Το Jungle Book Reimagined, η νέα αυτή πολυμεσική παραγωγή, έκανε την παγκόσμια πρεμιέρα της πέρσι στο Λέστερ της Αγγλίας. Εστιάζει στην κλιματική αλλαγή και απευθύνεται σε όλες τις γενιές, στοχεύοντας να αφυπνίσει τους θεατές κάθε ηλικίας για το κρίσιμο αυτό ζήτημα που διαρκώς επιδεινώνεται. Ο χορογράφος ανατρέχει άλλωστε συχνά στις παραδόσεις και τις ιστορίες του παρελθόντος για να βρει έμπνευση και να εστιάσει σε σύγχρονα ζητήματα.
We wanted to tell a story of Jungle Book, but through the lens of today. What is the message we want to send today? And so we all know that climate change is here now because it's visible. It was always here, but we just couldn't see it. And unfortunately, our modern thinking is if we can't see it, it doesn't exist. But actually, climate change had already started a long time ago. It's very urgent, the work or the message. And so we wanted to put it with the canvas being Jungle Book. And we wanted to get across the message of, especially to children and the adults together, of the consequences. What we've worked on to create is a journey of despair, which then leads to hope and the understanding that we have to change. That's what the work really is about. But it's done poetically, it's done through visual imagery, it's done through music, it's done through text that Tariq Jordan wrote, script, it's done through animation.
How dare you!
Ο Άκραμ Καν διηγείται μια συναρπαστική ιστορία φιλίας και επιβίωσης χρησιμοποιώντας μόνο την κίνηση, τη μουσική και την οπτική τεχνολογία. Η ιστορία του Μόγλι και των ζώων της ζούγκλας παίρνει ένα νέο σύγχρονο νόημα μέσα από τη συγκεκριμένη παράσταση που απευθύνεται τόσο σε παιδιά ηλικίας 10 ετών και πάνω, όσο και σε ενήλικες.
It is dark and light show, the work that we're doing in Jungle Book. And that's why it's a family show. You know, where the parents are with their children. I think it's important to not pretend to the children and make it only Disneyfied or kind of glossy. I test the work with my children, you know, and my children like animation, but they can immediately feel the difference between when you are lying to them or pretending or when something is truthful. And I think it's really important to be honest with children. Because you know why? Because they're the ones who are inheriting all the problems we caused. So now we have to be honest with them.
Ο Μόγλι στη συγκεκριμένη παράσταση είναι κορίτσι που λόγω της σύγχρονης κατάστασης γίνεται κλιματική πρόσφυγας. Η επιλογή έγινε μετά από προτροπή της 10χρονης κόρης του καλλιτέχνη που ήθελε ένα κορίτσι στο επίκεντρο της αφήγησης.
Mowgli is a girl because my daughter had a say in that discussion and debate, and she said, well, why is Mowgli not a girl? I want to identify myself, I want to see myself in that story. So we were like, yeah, why not? What prevents us from doing that? So Mowgli is definitely a climate refugee.
Ο εμβληματικός χορογράφος θεωρεί ότι οι άνθρωποι δεν σέβονται σήμερα καθόλου το περιβάλλον. Η μόνη του ελπίδα είναι η νέα γενιά, η οποία φαίνεται ότι έχει συνειδητοποιήσει ότι πρέπει να αλλάξει συμπεριφορά και να δράσει άμεσα, να αφούγκραστει τη φύση.
I feel the young generation is much more actively conscious or consciously active about the planet and our relationship to it, much more than we were. And definitely much more than my parents were. I think part of the problem is the stories we tell today, there's no consequence in narratives, in myths today. So the stories are very much about us, but with no consequence. Whereas myths in the past, like the first recorded human myth is the story of Gilgamesh. And the story goes, one of the chapters is Gilgamesh and his ego, with his power, destroys an entire cedar forest. And then the nature gods takes its revenge on Gilgamesh. You don't hear the consequences of these actions anymore in myths, today's myth. And I think that's partly the problem. But I think the young generation are rewriting today's myth, which includes if you take from the earth, you must give back threefolds. Otherwise, there will be nothing left to take. Equally, though, we need our grandparents to remind us and teach us of the mistakes we made. I'm very conscious that we don't just edit and erase our past and forget our past. Our past carries the mistakes, not just the good stuff, but the mistakes that we have made. Otherwise, that's the problem. We have global dementia. We keep forgetting our past, which means we keep repeating the same mistakes. It's cyclical. We're not owners of this earth. We're just guests. Xenos. And all the other species are guests, equal guests. But the human problem is that we think we are the most important, and everything else surrenders to us. So the world will still be here. It just might not be here in the right condition for us to survive. But the earth was here millions of years before us, and it will be here millions and millions of years after us. It will just not be in the right environment for us to be able to sustain ourselves or to survive.
Σε μια εποχή όπου οι πάγοι λιώνουν ταχύτατα, η θερμοκρασία ανεβαίνει διαρκώς, τα δάση καταστρέφονται μαζικά από την ανθρώπινη δραστηριότητα και τις πυρκαγιές, η ξηρασία κυριαρχεί και τα ακραία καιρικά φαινόμενα έχουν μπει δυναμικά στη ζωή μας, το μήνυμα της παράστασης δεν θα μπορούσε να είναι πιο επίκαιρο. Every time they see their children. Sometimes we only see up to as far as the eyes can see. When you have children, you suddenly see it through your eyes of your children. And at that moment, there is a future that you have to worry about. Because really, before I had children, it was really about the present. It wasn't about the future. I was only interested in what I'm doing, my ego and my self-obsession with what I'm interested in. The moment the birth of my daughter, I have 3 children, but my first one, daughter, in 2013, I suddenly started to think, well, hang on, what world is she going to be living in? So I had to extend my way I see the world. Το Jungle Book Reimagined του Άκραμ Καν και της ομάδας του είναι μια συμπαραγωγή της Αττικής Πολιτιστικής Εταιρείας. Παρουσιάζεται στο Μέγαρο Μουσικής Αθηνών την Τετάρτη 14 και την Πέμπτη 15 Ιουνίου σε συνεργασία με το World Human Forum. Τα εισιτήρια και των 2 παραστάσεων έχουν εξαντληθεί.